Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is HeroQuest, and today I'm going to show you how I box my HeroQuest game system. This is obviously the 2021 version of HeroQuest, and it comes in the taller box. There has since been a newer edition of the game, not First Light, but a new edition of the same base game here that comes in a slightly smaller box. I've always preferred larger boxes if I'm going to take other expansion materials and store them in the main box, and that's what I do with HeroQuest. So today I was going to show you how I take all of my different expansions, all of my different homebrew, everything, and fit it in just one box. This box is particularly beat up though. This method has some pros and cons. Getting expansion stuff in and out, going to put more wear and tear on your box. If you're going to be opening the box anyway to play the game with or without expansions, I would argue that you're opening it the same amount of times, but also this adds a ton of weight to the main box while reducing the weight of your expansion boxes since they will now be empty. Let's take the lid off and I'll show you what I've got going on down here. This method pretty much gives me almost no lid lift. What lid lift there is kind of just like air or stuff lightly pushing up, and if I stack anything on top of the box, the lid lift disappears. And we have my screen, my Zargon screen, larger tiles from expansions which didn't fit in any particular section of the box. They're kind of hanging out here on their own. The mirror from Mage of the Mirror. Some of the storage methods here are going to be heresy to a lot of you folks. Don't worry about it. I've been playing around with different configurations, and I'm generally very careful about how I organize things and store things. And I also only lay my boxes flat. I don't stack them upright. Well, at least most of them I don't. Looking over at my shelf, I do have some boxes that are up and down because I didn't have a choice, and because everything is so secure in there that it just doesn't matter. Advanced Armory guidebook. Some more tiles. So generally just all of my tiles in one place. I'll put them to the side once I open the box, and then I have them in one place. Next up, all of the cards for everything I could possibly want are over here on the side. I've got my different expansions, different cards. I've got lots of homebrew stuff like these elf skills from Heroic Adventurers. I was going to show off a different barbarian skills, wizard skills. I have the Dreadening deck in here from version 1 of the Advanced Armory. I've got the Elite of Dread deck. I've got the Alchemy deck from Rise of the Dreadmoon. I've got not one, but two sections of Advanced Armory. One is the Alchemist Shop, and the other one's Advanced Armory cards. I've got the Tuck Box in here just because I really like how that looks and how it nicely compartmentalizes all the cards within. I've got just everything. Everything is sorted in my own maddening sortation style. All of my hero cards are here, and I have them organized by the hero as well as what they will generally have equipped when you start out with them, and then their abilities before going on to the next version of that hero, before going on to the next hero, the next type. So now moving on to the other contents in the box, I have everything in Ziplocs bags. Not sorry. My abominations here are in their own Ziploc bag. My undead are in their own Ziploc bag. And as I put everything back in here, it won't quite retain their shape because I have to empty them out and put everything back in. So I kind of have to massage them into place, if that makes sense. My Dread Warriors have their own bag. My Mercenaries have their own bag. My Goblins have their own bag. And I have different sizes of Ziplocs, but don't let that throw you off. You can use any size Ziploc bag you want if you're doing this method. My heroes have their own bag, and it is a bag that I have had to upgrade in size over time for sure. Some of my stuff is in here loose, which may seem kind of heretical, but I'm going to tell you, it's really hard to find a storage solution that will allow me to place multiples of these large enemies in with minimal airspace around them being wasted. A lot of my game boxes, I try to sort expansion materials, homebrew materials, and stuff like that in them and maximize the space that is being used inside in the most practical way possible. Sometimes I can't pull this off, and when I can't pull it off safely, I won't do it. But for this stuff, this is all pretty safe. This isn't going to break while it's inside the box. It's not going to bend, anything like that. I've got a bunch of orcs in here. A couple of abominations escaped their own bag, I see. Naughty, naughty. Tiles in their own bag, and I actually have a few different tile bags because some of these tiles, and I'll have a video up talking about the method that I used when I was building out quests for the Quest Jam and having everything ready, my new setup, and exactly how I was able to build out quests quickly enough to do videos at a pretty practical pace. Some of these tiles are used very frequently in games, and other tiles are used very infrequently, and so I separate the frequent from the infrequent. And then I have one of these Dollar Tree Hot Wheels cases, but I've removed all the inserts and the lid, and I have all of my doors in here, and these include expansion doors as well. Although I got smart one day and I decided I was only going to have one exit door and one entrance door expansion mode, because honestly, you're not really going to see a lot of these played. Well, no, this is two. This is this is two wooden doors, but this one's got the lovely Chaos Eye or Dread Eye on one side and the other, and this is the normal wooden door, so that's why I wanted to have both variants. And then I have the Frozen Horror variant in here as well. But all of my portcullises are in here. All of my regular open and closed doors, they all fit quite nicely when you up-down them like that. More tiles, not very frequently used at all. My dragon is in here loose. This is Venom, of course, from the crypt. And then I've got... these are forces of dread that are not dread warriors. So there are sorcerers in here, and there are gargoyles. Okay, and then there are some cultists. Then I've got, for light blue, I've got Rise of the Dreadmoon enemies. And I've actually got a couple different copies of Rise of the Dreadmoon so that I could get additional assassins and magus guards, because I really love the sculpts for these guys. Then my Frozen Horror, cold enemies, my Frozen Horror, actually there's some Frozen Horror and Mage of the Mirror mixed up in this bag. I guess I was in a rush when I put those away. The Frozen Horror himself, the biggest, baddest enemy in all of HeroQuest, at least according to his own stats and his abilities and how easily he takes out opposing monsters in a one-on-one. He occupies his own space. He's free floating. These are all of the Spectre, and like I said, I've got an additional copy of Dreadmoon so that I could have additional Spectres. And Dread Wraith, I only wanted one Dread Wraith. No, I've got two Dread Wraiths in here. My bad. I don't know why I would need them, but I have them. Just in case. Then I have a Ziploc full of just the dice. There are no unofficial dice in here. These are all official, released HeroQuest dice. Prophecy of Talor, Spirit Queen's Torment, all of the dice that came with the Mythic tier of the base game, which just means extra dice. It doesn't mean new original dice, anything like that. The movement dice, the Frozen Horror dice. I do not have the Dread Veil dice, and I don't have the Jungles of Delthrak dice. I'm not that much of a diehard like some. That's more me being an anti-Hasbro than it is being a pro HeroQuest. I have a line that I like to draw. Those would be nice to have, but man, they're expensive. We've got some more undead in here. These are the special undead. They really should be in with the other undead since I've mixed all of my other guys. Our ogres are here, and I don't have them all together. There are ogres that are not with the elf quest pack ogres. Some folks will argue the dice are not any more expensive than other specialty dice releases and such. I say it really depends, because if you're looking at a set of D&D dice, that's like 7 different sculpts, 7 completely different dice. The combat die is eternal. It's just one sculpt. So I do think that they definitely overcharge for that in an effort to make up their bottom line quickly. But enough of that. I do have another box here full of all of the furniture that I could want, including arena doors from ogres. All of my tables and stuff are in here, and then I found that the bookshelves sort really, really well when you have them all secluded and by themselves. Although this is a bit of a mess, this little section of storage here. That is pretty much it. Now, let's see if I can actually get everything back in here. Some of the stuff that was loose, I didn't really need to be loose like it was. So unlike the classic HeroQuest furniture, this stuff really is not going to be prone to breaking and bending if it has just the slightest amount of tension on it while it's being stored. Some of the miniatures, after they were formed, they were put into a plastic tray, and the formation of the miniatures was a little bit off, so a lot of people had to use the hot water trick to straighten them out. That was something we learned how to do pretty quickly. But going forward, I don't really see that being an issue. Alright, so the sturdiest stuff goes at the bottom. And I think I'll actually store the tiles at the bottom. I don't want the tiles to be up top. Now, those of you who are sharp at this point have realized that there are some things missing from this box, namely all the literature. And you'd be correct. I have all of my books stored elsewhere, and the reason for that is because I have not just the official adventure books, but a number of homebrew ones, like the ones from Giles McNeil. I've got some Craig Leslie's. I've got some other ones that were gifted to me by different creators. And they're starting to become so much that they don't really fit in the box without giving it lid lift. But if you don't mind, like a 1/4 inch of lid lift, you can absolutely put your stuff in the HeroQuest box. It really isn't going to bother it that much. I have them out right now because I'm pursuing a couple of different options for storing them. Also, my map could just as well very easily fold up and go in here, the map board, but I like keeping the map board out because I use it as a video backdrop very often, very frequently. So I don't leave it out due to space restrictions. I leave it out because it's convenient to have it out. So there's actually a decent little amount of space here if you want to use more homebrew cards than what I use. I don't put in my Axion Spice cards, although looking over, I do have the room and I do have just enough cards to fill that space, and it really wouldn't hurt anything. Those are the only homebrew cards that are not in this box. Again, not for any particular reason, just up to this point. I didn't have the room. I did have my advanced game system stuff in here, but I've gotten rid of all of my advanced game system cards, so that actually freed up quite a bit of room. That wasn't for space restrictions, it's just because I never found myself using advanced game system. Placing everybody back in, actually right here, this is where the doors need to go, and that gives us about 1 inch of space. Yeah, I don't think this would be possible at all on a newer board. There is also, among the sharp-eyed of you, another component of all this that is missing. Have you figured out what it is? My Jungles of Delthrak miniatures and tiles and such have not yet been put in this box. I just haven't taken the time to do it. Like, actually now would be a great time to do it, but I'm not going to, so. And actually, I kind of think I don't have the room to put in my Jungles of Delthrak because this is really pushing the boundaries of what all I can fit in here with minimal lid lift and with minimal risk to the miniatures themselves. So I don't have a lot of confidence that I can put in also the Jungles of Delthrak. Crap, I missed a couple tiles. Crap, really big ones too. Oh well, it's fine. It doesn't matter. So on that note, I'm kind of wondering if it would benefit me to have like a balsa wood or some other kind of, not balsa, something like infinitely more sturdy, something that I could place inside the HeroQuest box that was multi-trade, that would actually fit everything in a very protected and very efficient way. I actually realize I'm also missing my character sheets. These need to go in here as well. No problem, they will go in, fit just fine. I've been meaning to do that for some time, and now I've got all my stuff. And if I wanted to put the map in there, I could fold this sucker up, put it in there. It wouldn't be a big deal at all. It'd be just fine. And the lid is on here flat. There's no lid lift whatsoever. There's a little bit of the air that comes in, but you can push that out. So I don't count that as lid lift because there's not any actual like solids in there keeping it up. I'm not pushing any component down. I'm not damaging or bending or breaking anything, but that's my HeroQuest 2021 storage solution. Just throw it all in the box and a little bit of monster massaging to appease the space gods. That's not like outer space, but rather like tangible dimensional space within a confined area. All right. That's enough of my ridiculousness. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Comment, please, anything down below, whether you like to or not, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.